Brian Heywood was on the show on Friday to break the news that they were going to move forward with 2 new initiatives, restoring sanity to Washington State via Let's Go Washington. On the one hand, he's doing this because, well, someone has to. Someone has to. And he's got the money and interest to help change the direction of the state. On the other hand, he's doing this because he needs to. It's not just has to, he needs to. Because he sees the direction that we're headed. He knows the damage that's being done. And we're almost too far gone in Washington State. We're not quite there yet. Seattle, maybe. But as a whole, the state, no, not yet. And so he stepped up in 2 new initiatives, one that would reverse the reversal of the Parents' Bill of Rights and would also return sanity to girls' sports again. He said this on the show on Friday.
If you're going to compete in school athletics, you have to get a physical, and that physical from your physician. And that physical has to state your biological sex. And so that's required now to play in sports. We're adding a requirement that basically says if you're going to play in girls' sports, you have to have a physical from your physician that states that you're a girl. It's simply really that simple. That's all it does.
Now, of course, we already know how that's going to be attacked, right? I mean, the left is going to say, oh, so they want to check the genitalia of the girls. So, okay, you want to make that stupid argument, go ahead. But again, most people understand what this is about. And I imagine there'll probably be, let's say this passes somehow, we're able to get around the subterfuge from the left. I imagine there's going to be a whole bunch of doctors who just lie anyway. But he also wants to repeal House Bill 1296, which gutted the Parental Bill of Rights.
I think that what they've done is incredibly illegal. They literally log rolled 2 other laws onto the original 1296. So I think, first of all, there's a challenge that could be had against theirs. So I think theirs is already illegal. But what we've done in our initiative is try to streamline it as tailored as we can so that we're simply repealing what happened in 1296 and returning the law to 2081.
He's going to need 400,000 signatures by January 2nd. And then at that point, it would be certified by the Secretary of State's office. Then it goes to the legislature. As he reminded us on Friday, it's a shortened session, this upcoming one. So it's only 60 days, which is just so absurd. It's just so absurd on its face. But they'll have at that moment the option to either accept as it is or allow us to vote. Those are the 2 main options. There's a third where they can put their own one up. It's usually accept or allow for a vote. Now, I imagine there's going to be the attempt, yet again, to kind of do what they did last time, which is just say, okay, we'll accept it, and then immediately change it back to where it was. So I'm not trusting of the Democrats, but every time they do that is a reminder that that's how they operate. And it does get to more and more and more voters. There are people who are ticked off of the way this happened the first time around, specifically with the Parental Bill of Rights, but it's really easy to forget. It's harder to forget when you do it over and over and over and over again. And it's going to be even harder to forget if they do that to your girls, because that's not something you can just miss. Like, it's easy to miss a piece of legislation that completely undoes what they said they were going to do based on the Parental Bill of Rights initiative process the last time around. You can't really hide that when it comes to your girls who are competing, because you're going to see a boy competing against them. And you're going to say, wait a minute, they said that they were okay with the initiative that we signed on to. And that ultimately ends up harming the political choices of these Democrats. That's how we end up winning long-term. It's the long-term game. And God bless Brian Heywood, because if I were him, my personality, spending as much money as he's spending to try to course correct, I would want results immediately. I have no patience for the long game when it comes to spending as much money as he's spending on this. I would have no patience, but he has patience. Now, certainly he probably wants to win the short and long game. He doesn't want to wait, but I think he's someone who is looking at this more strategically. And if it wasn't going to be Brian, I don't know who else would have stepped up in the way that this is one man who's spending a ton of money of his own on this.
And it's not like he's some lifelong Republican either, right? I mean,
yeah, he's not. Well, I don't know if he's a lifelong Republican per se, but he's certainly not someone who for decades has been pouring money that he has to spend on every single. No, he's doing this because he got called to action. Like so many people at home, you get called to action for a variety of things, and it's not going to be the same as Brian Heywood, right? Unless you've got millions of dollars just hanging around, you're probably not going to be in a position to maybe even financially contribute to Let's Go Washington. That's okay, because if you're able to collect some signatures, if you're able to collect your own signature and the family members and maybe people on your block or some of the coworkers who aren't going to rat you out to HR for talking politics, like that's what you can do. And then when it's actually up for a vote, as far off as that is, and it would be far off, like this could actually be just as meaningful as donating money. I just wish people would step up in a little bit bigger way, knowing that doing small stuff can actually matter. Just because you can't spend, $500 to donate to Let's Go Washington doesn't mean you can't contribute way more than $500 worth of work. And just getting, let's say if everyone listening right now, committed to getting just like 10 signatures, that would be huge for Let's Go Washington. That would be huge. And some of you can say, you know what, I'm going to do better than that. I'm going to do 20. I'm going to do 30. Awesome. On these issues, there's way more of you than there are on the left. That's why the left hates this topic, especially around gender identity and girls' sports. They loathe this topic. They hate it because they know they're on the wrong side, even in Washington State. So it's going to be easier than not, at least on that one, to collect the signatures. It's still really expensive. So make sure you're doing what you can. Let'sGoWashington.com is the website. We've got also a story up at SeattleRed.com, and I would argue go to SeattleRed.com, read the story. The petition is linked there, so you can get it all. But make sure you spend just a little bit of time sharing the article so that people actually know what's going on without any of the left-wing spin. It's SeattleRed.com. Some dope